the Dodgers have a serious problem on their hands. Hey, this is Mike Nelson of Dodgers Digest. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. 5% of you have already subscribed. I want to thank those who have already subscribed. But 94% of you have not yet subscribed. You don't want to miss out on any Dodger news, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's get right into it. The Dodgers are concerned with Clayton Kershaw. We got some reports over the weekend. The Dodgers are concerned with Kershaw. It looks like Bob Nightingale is the one that first reported this on Sunday, saying the Dodgers are privately concerned about him since his last start against the San Diego Padres. Just a really bad start for Clayton Kershaw. He was only charged for 3 runs, but, was just every inning just was not, at the level he wants to be, and not at the level that he promised to be when he came back. Because you got to remember Kershaw mentioned in an interview prior to that first start against the Giants, against the Giants, that first start, gave an interview against in that game against the Red Sox on ESPN, and he mentioned that he is ready to go. He was going to be pitching great. Kershaw was really kind of putting himself out there that he was ready to go and fully healthy, and expected to do that, but it just has not been the case for Clayton Kershaw. And as we know, Kershaw's coming off a major surgery that had him out of the major leagues for 9 months. Just a very long absence for Clayton Kershaw, to say the least. So there has to be some leeway, but the Dodgers are already concerned, as we could see here from Bob Nightingale reporting this over the weekend. The Dodgers are privately concerned with Kershaw and his outlook for this season. What's going to happen to Clayton Kershaw? Is he going to be able to pitch at an elite level? Is he going to be able to be part of the rotation come playoff time? I think that's what everybody's kind of wondering. Is Kershaw going to be able to be part of that rotation when the playoffs come around? I think that's what everybody is really worried about. Now, let's take a look at his stats. I think that's a good indicator here. Now, for his last few seasons, Kershaw's numbers, you might say, hey, Mike, but look, Kershaw's still been a pretty elite guy. And yeah, he has been. Statistically, in the regular season, he's been pretty good. 13-5 last year, 12-3 the year before. Dodgers are a great team. Kept his ERA below 3 in both seasons, which is very impressive for a pitcher at his age. But the playoff numbers, have not been the same. As we know, in the playoffs last year, it was a complete disaster against the D-backs. And of course, in years prior to that, it has not, hasn't been good. And also another stat I was looking at when I was researching for this video, his win probable percentage has been at 1%. Basically, this is a percentage that's going to determine whether he's going to win the game or not. It's been at around 1% the last few years. And, 10, 12 years ago, Kershaw was at like 4 to 5%. So his WPA is definitely, slipped in the last few years. That's something that I think the Dodgers are really concerned with for sure. He's not the same guy from 2010, 2011. I think that's what people have to understand. Kershaw is not the same pitcher from 2010 and 2011. And I think that's why the Dodgers are concerned on what the long-term outlook is for Kershaw, right? I think that's what everybody is. That's what's on everybody's minds right now. What's going to happen to Kershaw? And this goes to my next point. What's next for Clayton Kershaw? Well, what's next for Clayton Kershaw is a big start tonight against the Philadelphia Phillies. So he has a chance to redeem himself, a chance to make up for that last start against San Diego where he really did not pitch well. Has a huge opportunity against a very good Phillies team, a nationally contending team. The Phillies have been number one all season long in the National League. They've been the top team all year long in the National League. The Dodgers have the opportunity tonight to jump them in the standings. Right now, the Dodgers are half a game back of the Phillies. The Dodgers, after coming off a 5-3 win last night against the Phillies, and tonight can win Game 2. It's the second of a 3-game set. They can win tonight and jump them in the standings, right? And start thinking about, solidifying their position in the standings and start thinking about getting that bye. Now, of course, it's very close. The Phillies would still be, just half a game back, and the Brewers are right there. They were 3 back going into today, and, that could stay at 3. The Brewers win again today. And the Brewers and Dodgers are playing next week. They got a 4-game set next week I'm so excited. I'm banging the table. The Dodgers and Brewers have a 4-game set next week in Wisconsin. So that's going to determine a lot. The Dodgers can win. Imagine the Dodgers can win that series next week against Milwaukee. I mean, what are the chances the Brewers can jump the Dodgers? They basically can solidify the first round bye and get that week off, right? But going back to Kershaw has a chance tonight to really, show he could pitch at an elite level. And this is not the same Kershaw like I mentioned from years ago. His fastball, like we talked about in previous videos, is down to 89, 90 miles an hour. It's not hitting that 91 mile an hour clip anymore. And that's going to be hard to use that kind of pitch against an elite team and against elite batters like, Bryce Harper and, Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner, former Dodgers. So, those three guys how is Kershaw going to pitch against a lineup like that? I think that's what I'm really excited to see tonight. How is he going to pitch against a lineup like that, right? How is he going to pitch? How is it going to look, for him tonight? That's what I think that's what I'm excited to see tonight with tonight's game. Can he redeem himself? Can he really be the pitcher that he said he was going to be? That he said he was going to be a great pitcher going into this season. That's what I think everybody would like to see tonight. Now, the Dodgers being privately concerned with Kershaw, it's very concerning as a fan for the Dodgers to be really displaying this or even leaking this out, because everything gets leaked out. That's how these sources get these stories. Why the Dodgers concerned with a pitcher they decided to bring back, in the offseason? Because you got to remember the Dodgers had the opportunity to let Kershaw go. I mean, Kershaw was a free agent at the end of last season. There was rumors that maybe he was potentially going to retire or even go to the Texas Rangers. This was not the first time that we heard of this Texas Rangers rumor. The Dodgers didn't want him to go to the Texas Rangers. Rangers, of course, coming off a World Series win. And instead of signing to a 2-year, $50 million contract, it's technically a 1-year deal, but the second year is a player option, but Kershaw will most likely opt in. I don't think he's going to throw away $25 million. So he will opt in. So it will be a 2-year deal. And I just don't get it. I mean, if Kershaw does not turn things around in the next, few weeks, close out the regular season, and let's say he doesn't even end up on the playoff roster. I mean, it's really getting to that point, to be honest. I mean, if Buehler and Yamamoto can come back and be elite, now you add in Jack Flaherty. Kershaw is a fourth starter, and that's a maybe because, there's other guys out there. River Ryan can maybe jump in there. I mean, he's been looking pretty good. Does Kershaw make the playoff roster as a starting pitcher? We're starting to get to that territory now if Kershaw doesn't turn things around in the next few weeks. That's kind of where it's at right now with Kershaw at his age and just the way he's pitching. And it goes back also to the same instance or the same, fact that the Dodgers did not trade for an elite pitcher at the trade deadline. They had opportunities to maybe trade for Tarek Skubal, who I think was a better option. Garrett Crochet was also a great option, but then with the reports of Crochet not wanting to pitch for a team that didn't give him a contract extension. Remember, there was that situation where Crochet wasn't going to pitch for that team. He didn't want to pitch for a team that wasn't going to sign to a long-term deal in the playoffs. He was just going to pitch out the next 2 months. The Dodgers were like, we can't do that because you're going to come here, we don't sign you to a contract, and then you don't pitch for us in the playoffs. So the Dodgers didn't want to do that. Nobody did that. Crochet wasn't traded. Now, Skubal, the Detroit Tigers, I think, wanted an elite prospect in return. They wanted some elite prospects back. They think they have an elite pitcher, Tarek Skubal. And the Dodgers were not willing to give up elite prospects at the trade deadline. They didn't give up much for Jack Flaherty, who's a solid pitcher, pitched great against the A's, but I just don't know if he's at the level of Tarek Skubal. I think Skubal would have been a game changer for the Dodgers. I really think so. I think it really would have put the Dodgers in another boat right now. There's other teams out there I think have better pitching. The Phillies certainly don't, but you got to watch out. D-backs, those guys, they can pitch. So the Dodgers are going to have to regroup. Hopefully Kershaw can bounce back tonight and have a good start against the Phillies. Make sure to subscribe to Dodgers Digest for more great Dodger news.